Hello guys, and welcome to episode 44.
Hey.
How y'all doing? Are you good? Are you feeling happy? Are you gonna make it to the end of the week? Have you liked the podcast? Have you subscribed? Have you told a friend?
Mm-hmm. Are you following on Twitter and following on Instagram?
Have you checked out our YouTube?
Have you?
Questions. Anyway, all right, let's get started
in the news. Okay. In a recent case of moral policing in India, a park had forbidden unmarried couples.
No,
I thought you were going to.
I'm just shocked.
Yeah, unmarried couples entrance into a park. And this was in the city of Hyderabad, and they put up actually a sign. Now, the reasoning behind this was that citizens had complained that couples were involved in indecent physical activity like cuddling. Now, the director of the urban biodiversity wing said that they're cuddling, expressing love to each other in a physical way. Is it not embarrassing? Now, I don't know since when cuddling was indecent physical activity. I don't know. Luckily enough, a good outcome of this was that there was so much outrage that the park actually had to remove the banners. And it just again comes to the point. Why does leadership always think they have the moral authority to tell people what to do? How is that anybody's business if I and my partner or I and my boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, are holding hands in the park? And the park is meant to be public space for everybody. So where do you stop? You start with the married couples, then you say, oh, kids can't go there, dogs can't go there, all sorts of things. I think it's just really, really bizarre.
It is. Absolutely. I mean, if it's one thing if there is indecent exposure or they're having intercourse in some corner. To say that you can't come and cuddle your boo at the park, where can you then? That's where you're supposed to go for a romantic evening, okay? You go there, look at nature, and you're like, I think.
And it's unconceivable how it just places a sort of a higher worth on marriage than anything else, which is not really right. You're assuming that everybody wants to get married, and therefore, if you are not married, and even just in the civil, what's the word? Civil union, you can't get into the park. That makes no sense to me. People always having the moral authority to think they can tell people what to do, but they can tell women what to do.
Yep, because
they can tell you what to do, whether you can get an abortion or not. It's absolutely preposterous.
I've been debating whether to talk about that, and I probably will. Maybe next episode or something. It just doesn't make sense. It makes me so mad, and I know it's a touchy subject for people, but it's too much. We are too far into the future. Literally, it's 2021. There are movies that took place in 1990 something that show spacecrafts and stuff. We are in 2021, even though we never got the spacecraft. Still, we are in the future. We can't be at this puritanical sort of 15th century thinking when it comes. It's tiresome. I keep saying,
and people need to leaders, especially. You need to ask yourself, what's the logic behind what you're saying? What's the point? Like you said, you can tell there's certain things you cannot do. Although I have seen things in other countries. I have been to a park where people were having sex, and it was allowed. It's not forbidden. Depending on where you are, you can put in rules, but you cannot say that cuddling is indecent. Like how? So are you saying that if the couple is married and they're cuddling, that's okay? So basically, it doesn't make sense. Please leave people alone. And if it's just over the top, of course you can control, but cuddling shouldn't be the end of the world, and people should enjoy their lovers.
Nor should the idea of marriage, as you said. And I think in the UK, I believe, if you're in a domestic partnership with somebody for 6 years, then you have rights as though you were married to some degree, because they recognize that you can have your boo without getting married for many years, and that you're not just a boyfriend or a girlfriend at that point. You've shared amounts of history, and you cohabit, and you share things like that. So that should entitle you to the rights of a spouse to some degree. So I mean,
just leave people alone.
Thank you.
Leave people alone. Let people enjoy life. Come on, we've got only one life. Why are you policing people like this?
If they're hiding in some room too, that one too would be a problem. What are they doing in there? Let them go to the damn park and get some fresh air.
I know.
Come on.
That's my news today. Annoying.
Okay, well, mine in the news is similarly annoying, unfortunately, and it's about the pink tax. And this time, the pink tax has reared its ugly head in Kenya in the form of Bolt's new women-only ride option. So what is the pink tax? Let's start there. So the pink tax is a tendency for products marketed specifically towards women to be more expensive than identical products targeting men. And why it's called the pink tax is a tongue-in-cheek reference to the fact that a lot of the products targeted towards women are often pink or purple or some perceived girly color like that. Now, this is a very real, very problematic phenomenon. A 2015 consumer report from the New York Department of Consumer Affairs studied, I think, about 350 consumer products and found that on average, women pay 13% more for the same products targeted specifically towards them as ones that are neutral or targeted towards men. And this amounts to $1,300 a year in extra cost. Now, some products are even more expensive than that. For example, shampoo and conditioner that are targeted towards women are often almost 50% more expensive than the same products that are men's versions or non-gendered with the same ingredients, same quantity, same everything.
Women are suffering everywhere. Like,
hey,
we don't have we're suffering.
We're suffering. So back to Kenya and Bolt. So Bolt, which is a rideshare service, we have it here as well, recently rolled out a women's only service that allows women riders to request female drivers. So great, right? You would think. And this service, they stated, is an attempt to address the rising cases of harassment and violence towards women on public transportation. So the initial favorable response to it turned to ire when it was discovered that the women's only ride option was always the most expensive option across the same distance in the same type of vehicle when compared to the other ride options available on the app. So of course the women were angry, right? Exactly. And one Twitter user summed it up perfectly and said that Bolt, in charging more in the name of women's safety, is monetizing women's fear. And a fear which in part only exists due to the fact that Bolt has failed to properly vet their drivers and adequately ensure riders' safety in the first place. So you hire perverts who keep harassing women when they're riding, and you're like, okay, we got you. We're going to give you this safer option, women to women only. You'd be more comfortable, except we're going to get our money back by charging you more for it. I mean, it is so unfair and so ridiculous. And I hope they resolve it soon, because I actually like the idea. It's kind of a tragedy that we need this at all, that you cannot even sit in an Uber or a Bolt or a taxi and feel safe. You're literally agitated and on edge until you get home. This is the reality, you know.
And recently, I've seen quite a number of people complaining about this Bolt driver or this Uber driver trying to take me down another path.
Exactly.
So
there was one in Nigeria, wouldn't let her out of the car. He had central locked the car and all that. Or at the very least, they call you afterwards. Hi, this is the Uber driver from the other day.
That's happened to me before.
And they know where you live. It's sometimes because they drop you off at your damn house, so they know where you live. Now they know your number. They may know your name from the app. And then they start stalking you or harassing you. I mean,
it's terrible.
What is all this? What is all this? I don't know what it's gonna take, though. I really
if you don't care enough, you're not going to do anything about it. You would want to give a damn to actually think this is a problem. If you don't think it's a problem, this is what happens. Pink tax,
certainly not money. Making cynical options that you're really just trying to make more money out of.
So stupid.
So that's my in the news this week.
Lord. Okay. So now we're on to some beautiful songs for today. The first song I have is called Miss Shiny, and it's a single from an artist called Kaiit or Kaiit. I'm not sure how to pronounce her name, but she's a 23-year-old singer from Melbourne. She was born in Papua New Guinea, and she's won the ARIA Music Awards for Best Soul and R&B.
Oh, good.
Now that's some Australian awards, and she won the award for this particular song, Miss Shiny. And she says the song is about writer's block and self-doubt, and we've all been there before. We've got all had our moments. And the song has got a really nice old school vibe, and she's definitely making Australia proud. So that's a beautiful song, Miss Shiny, from the artist Kaiit. The second song that I have for you is a song which has become one of my favorites, one of my mom's favorites as well, and it's called Country Hot by Afriyie Wutah.
Hey.
Now, when there was the Fix the Country demonstration, this song also came out, so this became sort of an anthem for the song. And the song basically talks about how the country Ghana is hot. Basically, things aren't working, corruption, floods, all sorts of things, education, and basically a jab at the leadership not being able to do the things they're supposed to do. Now, I didn't know that Afriyie Wutah is actually one half of the group Wutah.
Oh, Wutah.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Right.
So, and if you remember, they brought us that fantastic Bronya song. I really liked it.
That's probably coming back soon as we head into December.
And so if you haven't listened to this song, as a Ghanaian, wherever you are, you should listen to it. It's really good. It's really catchy. And that's my second song. So we've got two songs there, Miss Shiny from Kaiit and Country Hot by Afriyie Wutah.
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, so I have 3 songs this week. The first song is called Louis Bag, and it's by an artist called Yebba, and it features the rapper Semino. So Yebba is a childhood nickname of singer-songwriter Abby Smith. So Yebba is just Abby backwards. She's 26 years old. She's originally from Arkansas. And she was raised in a musical church background because she sang in church where her father was a preacher and also played piano. So she went viral from a 2016 performance at So Far, which is a club, and they post their live shows to YouTube. So it's kind of similar to an A Colors or a Tiny Desk in the sense that you get to discover new artists. And that performance has like 16 million views or something like that. And it actually gives me chills. It's so good. And the song she was singing was called My Mind, and it was about how she was in a relationship with somebody, but it was clear that he's falling out of love with her and falling in love with somebody else, and she could tell. And so yeah. And she later revealed that Ed Sheeran reached out to her after having watched the video because he told her that he was so moved that he cried. And so he's like, I need to find this girl. So her having gone viral from that video led to a couple of collaborations. She ended up featuring on Ed Sheeran's album No. 6 Collaborations. She also caught the attention of Chance the Rapper. So she sings background vocals on his song Same Drugs. If you know the album Acid Rap, I think it's on there. And also the producer Mark Ronson, who I've talked about quite a bit. I talk about him all the time. He's like my favorite producer. He produced with Amy Winehouse. That's how I discovered him, amongst many, 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 many others. And he is now basically her main collaborator. And so, but she also revealed that it wasn't all good news after that, because 3 weeks after that performance, her mother took her life. And that has influenced her music going forward, and some of the songs she sings sort of reference the dark time and the pain and things, so on and so forth. She received her first Grammy nomination in 2019 for a song that she did with PJ Morton, who we've talked about before. We both love him. And she's currently working on her debut album, which comes out this year, actually. It's supposed to be in September. And Louis Bag is a single on there, and it features Semino. So he's a rapper from St. Louis, I believe, who is known for sort of a soulful approach to rap. And it's a really good song. What else can I say? Her vocals are amazing. I really, really like the girl sings, okay?
I've heard about her before, but I don't know where. Like, I don't know whether I've heard a song.
So I featured a song with Mark Ronson. It was called Don't Leave Me Lonely, and I said that was one of my favorite songs. So that was last season, so I don't know, maybe elsewhere. So yeah, that's the first song, Louis Bag by Yebba. The second one is called Shima by Tha Boy Myles. So Tha Boy Myles' real name is Olawale Ogunleye Michael, and he's a singer-songwriter from Lagos, Nigeria. Now, there's not too much information about him at the same time, at this moment, because he's that new. But what I discovered is that he released his debut EP called Milestone in May 2021. And Shima is the third single off that EP. And it's really great. So if you like Fireboy DML, who I'm obsessed with, or you like Joe Boy, somebody like that, then Tha Boy Myles has a similar vibe to those artists where it's just mid-tempo, beautiful vocals, singing about love. His whole EP is apparently themed around his relationship to one person, like all the ups and downs of, you know, being in love and out of love and falling in love and all that kind of stuff. So it's a really lovely listen. So check it out. Shima by Tha Boy Myles. And my third song is called Water in a Flame, and it's by Daniel Merryweather, and it features Adele. Now, Daniel Merryweather is also Australian. We already had one Australian artist today. He's an R&B singer-songwriter. He's currently based in London, but he's originally from Melbourne. And he started his musical journey early. He played violin from the time he was 4, and then he started playing piano at 13. However, he had a troubled childhood and ended up with an assault charge and dropping out of high school at 17. So he started playing in nightclubs in and around Melbourne, and then ended up relocating to New York to work on his career. And then in the early 2000s, he moved to London, where he linked up again with Mark Ronson. Nice. Mark Ronson's been around, is everywhere. So Mark Ronson produced his debut album. Actually, before that, he first appeared on Mark Ronson's album, which is how I found out about him, on a song called "Stop Me," which I really like. And then his own debut album came out in 2009. And it did really well. And one of the singles on that album is this song featuring Adele called Water and a Flame. And it is stunning. You already know Adele don't miss. And Daniel Merryweather is just one of those white boys that can sing, you know? So very soulful, very passionate, very beautiful melodies. They sound amazing together. Also, fun fact, his long-term wifey / baby mama's name is Colleen Mensah, and she's Ghanaian. So shout outs to you for understanding the assignment there, you know, getting yourself a Ghanaian queen. For that alone, I ride with you, Daniel. So those are my 3 songs this week: Louis Bag by Yebba featuring Smino, Shima by Tha Boy Myles, and Water in a Flame by Daniel Merryweather featuring Adele.
Beautiful. All right. Okay then. And with that, straight into what the F. Now in South Africa, something really terrible has happened to a 7-year-old boy. So a relative of the boy whipped him with a material made of the hide of a rhino or the hide of a hippo. What did this boy allegedly do? The relative thought that the boy had killed a puppy. And so he thought the right thing to do was to flog him. He of course didn't stop there. He made the boy eat the puppy's flesh.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Disgusting, absolutely unexplainable. But then luckily a neighbor saw what was happening and then took the child to a child center. Now it will turn out that the child had been living with the relatives after his mom passed away. So this wasn't actually new. And then this story of abuse is not peculiar to South Africa. You have this all the time. House helps or relatives staying with their uncles or aunties or whatever get really, really terribly abused. Yeah. And we hear this too often. It's actually really, really appalling and needs to stop. You cannot imagine a 7-year-old boy eating the flesh of a puppy he's supposed to have killed. People are just evil. People are just evil. But then knowing the way things work, that he's probably going to get away with it. It's going to be a, oh, I'm sorry, apologize to the boy, and the boy's going to leave. Especially if the boy lives with a family. Where's he going to go?
Right, because his own parents are not around, so he's at the mercy of these people. And even if you feel like, okay, this 7-year-old killed, he's 7. So, you know, you can't proclaim that he's a sociopath or something. Maybe it was an accident. Maybe it's curiosity. Kids at that age just kind of want to know what will happen if
they do.
They stick forks into the socket and stuff like that, right? So it was a perfect opportunity to talk to him about you killing is bad, or, you know, hurting animals is bad or something. You don't whip him to an inch of his life or whatever and have him eat the dog. Like,
and the fact that even that he didn't even see the guy, he didn't see the boy, he just assumed. That you just assume that the boy had killed the puppy, and so there you go. And this too often there'll be people defending this, saying that the uncle or the relative is disciplining. That's not discipline.
Exactly, that's abuse. Exactly, and we need to distinguish between the two. Especially, let's keep it real in our part of the world where we still believe in corporal punishment, the whole spare the rod and spoil the child thing. We have to understand that the boundaries exist and are real. And in fact, most people think that corporal punishment is introducing some type of trauma, and it's not really, it's counterproductive, and that you can get the same results with just words, but at the very least, let the punishment fit the crime, as it were. Why can't you just kneel down in a corner, like we all, face the wall, something?
Something that's also harmful.
Exactly, So.
And apparently the thing used to flog the boy is called a shambok. And it's actually quite common in South Africa. Apparently, it's used to ward off snakes and dogs.
Oh, I see.
So you can imagine. Can you imagine that thing used to flog
a child, a small child.
Let's do better. If you're listening and you're the kind of person who quickly wants to get a cane or a stone or whatever, think about it. It's not
and your thought should not be, well, I was beaten. And
exactly. So you too, you have to be.
The fact that you're beating your own child probably demonstrate that your own upbringing wasn't as ideal.
It didn't turn out to well, did it?
So
that's my what the F. Really sad story. Shouldn't have had happened, but there you go.
Well, thankfully I can bring some levity for once with my what the F. So my what the F this week takes place in Japan, where a legend over there was trying to win F Boy of the Year and almost succeeded. So Takashi Miyagawa was arrested by Osaka police, accused of fraud and dating under false premises and defrauding, by defrauding 35 different women. So this king was apparently dating all 35 women at the same time. And he told each of them that his birthday was on a different day so that he could get 35 different presents on different days. Iconic, right? So Takashi is 39, and he apparently met his victims when he was selling products for an MLM company. So that's a multi-level. So I'm like, you see why
the fraud started early.
Thank you. Why MLMs are sketchy. Look at the kind of people they employ. So he was selling, I think, some kind of ergonomic or some shower head that apparently filters the water or something like that. Anyway, so he started relationships with all these women, and they said that he made it clear that he was serious and he was dating them on basically a track towards marriage, and it wasn't just casual dating and so on and so forth.
I hate people like that. I really hope they suffer in life. I really don't like people who lie so much, so much fraud. Like what kind of a person do you have to be that you feel the need to lie like that? I hate it. I really do.
So the articles didn't actually specify how the women found out about each other, but they eventually did, and at least found 35 of them, because for all you know, there are more. And they formed a victims association, and this was a text as it was written. They called themselves a victims association and went as an association to report him to the police. So he's been arrested.
Perfect.
And is probably either going to serve time or have to pay back some amount, equivalent value. So Takashi, let me tell you where you messed up at. You tried that ish in the wrong country. You have many brethren right here. Accra, Lagos, and Abuja and stuff like that. If you had tried that here, it would have been a no-brainer. There's some guy running around on this Zion Flex or whatever it is. Have you heard about him?
No.
He's a blogger, and he's apparently got 2 women pregnant at the same time. And they're both supposedly fiancés, and he's deciding which of them he should marry. And that's like the thing. And everybody is approaching it as some kind of joke, like, oh, he's a Jack the Lad, oh, yeah,
It's so funny.
And the same people that will be coming to do morality gymnastics, if you let them see a short skirt or they hear that some gays have kissed somewhere, not that they've seen it all. They come and start praying. We must pray for the sanctity of Ghanaian family unit. But here, thank you. Here is somebody running around with 2 women pregnant, meaning he don't use no protection nowhere. And one of them is going to eventually, obviously, raise her child alone or whatever. And that's just great. But anyway, so yeah, Takashi, you should have moved out this way if you knew that's how you wanted to live your life, and it would have been fine.
Oh boy.
But yeah, so that's my what the F this week. Can we why are guys like this? Now, okay, fine. Some of y'all gonna be like, not women. Look,
we know it's not all of
in my experience.
Majority.
Thank you. It's not equal. Don't make false equivalences here. It's something like 90% to 10% or something. Every time on the weekend, some woman is weeping, watching her boyfriend wedding pictures on Instagram when he was at her house the night before. Now, I don't know how many guys can say that they were laying next to their girlfriend and she's like, oh, I'm coming this weekend, and he saw her online in her wedding dress. Really? No, I don't think so. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah, I hate this so much. Anyway, so my 2 persons today, we're talking about intuition. Intuition or hocus pocus. Now, if the last couple of years have taught me anything, is that I should trust my intuition.
I was talking about the gut, trusting your gut, and that scorpion and frog thing last week.
So I was just saying, oh, you know what, this is what I'm going to talk about. And I know for some people, intuition might seem like, oh, it's just, a little hocus pocus, it's a figment of your imagination and all that. But I feel that intuition helps us to respond to situations and adapt better overall. So what is intuition? Intuition basically is arriving at knowledge without relying on reason or inference or a powerful inner knowing. You know how sometimes you just get this this something telling you that, you know what, this is not right. And not just even with personal relationships, it can apply to a job. You've got all the data, all the information that you need to make a decision, but something tells you that, you know what, let me go the other route because this doesn't seem right.
Feel right.
Exactly. Sometimes intuition is also the mind going through past experiences and knowledge and events like really, really quickly, which then lead us on to hunt you. So we have experienced certain things before, and so you know that this thing it's not a conscious thing, so it happens in the back of your mind, so it's not conscious. So then you feel like, okay, this thing doesn't seem to be right. And this sort of information processing is also seen in a phenomenon known as highway hypnosis. How am I pronouncing
hypnosis?
Hypnosis. I'm pronouncing this. Highway hypnosis. So it's got to do with a driver traveling long distances, but then he's not necessarily conscious about the fact that he's driving. So that's what it's called. Now, personally, like I said, I've had way too many experiences to simply say intuition is a fad or just something. And every time that I have not trusted my intuition, it has caused me just unnecessary headaches, and I hate it. And I should have known that, Eddie, trust your intuitions.
Something told me,
something told me, and I know. And you like to give situations of people of the doubt, like, you know what, this one, no, he's not like, this person is absolutely not like that. There's absolutely no reason why and then, oh, you are. There you have it. There is it, black and white, you know. And while we like to believe that we are logical, we're logical beings, you know, we were talking about rational, but we really are not, right? And even though intuition is by no means logical and might not even be accurate all the time, it pays to listen to your intuition, right? So the question I have for you today is, do you trust your intuition? Has your intuition disappointed you? Or how often has your intuition led you to a place where you thought, you know what, I need to trust my intuition a bit more, because most of the time it's actually spot on. Doesn't necessarily mean your intuition is always going to be right. But if you've had experiences where disregarding your intuition has led you down a black hole of confusion, then maybe you need to start listening to your intuition.
Yeah.
And that's that.
I love it. Right. I love it. I happen to think I'm very intuitive.
Me too. I am.
Like, I just know, and it's hard to explain because on the other hand, I'm an extremely logical, rational type person. But sometimes I just know. Just trust me on this. Like, it's not, you know.
And what I hate the most is that you being intuitive about something, and then let's say the person on the other hand is totally making you feel like, you know, but you're absolutely, no, that's...
Yes, because you can't
you that, no,
give them 10 facts why. Exactly. I'm just like, I'm just telling you.
You know, and then later, there it is. Oh, you are. There you have it, you know. So trust your intuition. It will really save a lot of things. Yeah.
Okay, great. So my two Pesewas this week is... somewhat close to my heart because I was originally going to title it Dealing with Depression, but I decided to spin it to a more positive angle and make it about how to define and enhance our well-being, because identifying that you're depressed is not that hard these days. Like, you know, actually it could be. Some people don't realize they're depressed, but I thought we would talk about how to know if you're well-being is in the right place. So a lack of well-being obviously is depression. So it amounts to the same thing, just viewed from the opposite angle. And we're going to use the PERMA model to define and enhance well-being. So what is the PERMA model? So the PERMA model, or PERMA theory, was developed by Dr. Martin Seligman, who is a pioneer in the field of positive psychology. So positive psychology is a scientific study of the factors that enable individuals and communities to flourish. And by flourish, he means basically to be happy or to feel a sense of well-being. And his research led him to propose 5 essential factors necessary for happiness and well-being. And PERMA is an acronym of those 5 factors, which are positive emotions, engagement, relationships, meaning, and achievement. So I want to break those down a little bit this week. So the first factor necessary for well-being is positive emotion. A lack of positive emotion obviously can lead to depression. Positive emotions are joy, love, compassion, hope, so on and so forth. Now, in the present term, you can derive positive emotions from 2 main ways. Now, you can derive positive emotions from satisfying physical needs, so that they call pleasure in this particular instance. And so pleasure, you can get it from, again, when you sate your physical needs, such as hunger, thirst, sleep, sex even. So you can get pleasure from a good meal. You can get pleasure from even a good night's sleep. Right. So you can derive positive emotion from those things, but you can also, in the present term, derive positive emotion from being stimulated creatively and intellectually. So from pursuing your hobbies, from engaging in things you love, and even having a good quality conversation with somebody you care about can stimulate or give you the positive emotions. What I thought was interesting and promising is that you can also cultivate positive emotions from events that happened in the past already by recontextualizing them. And so he gave the example of framing past experiences through a lens of gratitude and also forgiveness. So let's say something that happened in your past was traumatizing or upsetting. The only way to derive positive emotion out of it is to reframe it as, let's say, every experience as a teacher. Even though this was bad, something worse could have happened. So I should be grateful at least that I made it through, so on and so forth. You know, this person did me wrong and you're carrying this burden around of bitterness or anger. If you forgive them, you can then let go of those emotions or convert them into positive emotions. You can also have positive emotions towards events that have not yet happened, so positive emotions for the future. And for that, he encourages you to cultivate an attitude of hopefulness and optimism. So instead of looking in the future, like me, I'm very pessimistic, I admit. Instead of saying, oh my God, everything is crap, everything is going to be bad, December is going to suck, you can approach it and saying, you never know, a great thing might happen. You know, I might win the lottery, whatever it is, right? So that's the first one, positive emotions. These are all necessary for well-being. I think we know this one is pretty much a no-brainer. The second one is called engagement. So it's also described as being in the zone, or being one with the music, or being in the flow. Now, I don't know how many of you watched the movie Soul, the Disney Pixar movie Soul.
I haven't seen it.
But one of the things that they talk about, it's a very poignant movie actually, just check it out if you haven't, is this guy, he's a music teacher and he loves jazz, and he talks about every time he plays jazz piano, he's literally transported to a different place. So that feeling of being swept away, and he, Dr. Seligman describes it as, you're lost in time, like time stops in those moments. And so he describes engagement as, where a challenge presents itself and your particular strengths or skill sets align perfectly, enabling you to fully engage with that challenge or activity. Right. And that gives you a very, very, very strong sense of gratification. So you can get this I get this from listening to music. Like,
I was going to mention the music.
And utterly swept away in it. I don't know where I am. I don't know when it is. And you're just in the moment, right? You can get that from spending time in nature, going to the beach. I love water, so put me by the ocean, just watching the waves come in and out. I'm in the zone already. And again, spending time with loved ones, quality conversations, things like that. You talk to someone and you're like, oh my God, we've been talking for 4 hours. Yeah. That's exactly what engagement is. And and having those experiences also are critical to your well-being. The third one, relationships. Again, a no-brainer. Quality relationships contribute to your well-being for obvious reasons. These connections provide you joy, laughter, a sense of belonging, a sense of love, even a sense of purpose, and are critical to surviving dark or down times, such as the one we find ourselves in. So your social environment is critical to preventing cognitive decline. So if you find that your relationships are suffering or are degrading, reach out. Reconnect with your old friends that you haven't talked to in a while. If you don't have any friends at all, join a club if you can.
Make new ones.
Make new ones. Join a class, some cooking class, something like that, where you engage with other people. If you know a lot of people but they're not close, you're not close to them, you have a lot of acquaintances, try and get to know them better. Ask them questions. Try and cultivate a deeper friendship with them so that you're fulfilled in your relationships. Okay, number 4 is meaning. So meaning is a sense of gratification you derive from a sense of belonging to and serving something bigger than oneself. Now, of course, for a lot of people, the first thing that will come to mind is religion. Right. Some people derive their sense of meaning and purpose from their faith in God, but it doesn't necessarily always have to be that. You can get that from your family, a sense of purpose. Why am I here? Because my kids need me, or, to be the best mother I can be, best father, something like that. It can also be from your volunteer work, if you belong, or if you have some social causes that you're very passionate about. Maybe it's environmental, trying to save the world, trying to save the whales, whatever it is. That can give you meaning. Community engagement, volunteering, all those things can give you a sense of meaning, and it's critical to have that to feel a sense of total well-being. Right. So the last one is accomplishment. Now this one is unique in the sense that even though you receive gratification from it, it's not always positive. So let me explain. So accomplishment, again, is a gratification derived from the pursuit of success, of achievement, or mastery in a certain domain. So this could be, again, here too, you think of maybe professional achievements. For some people, it's athletics, so sports, or whatever domain in which you have interest and you reach a certain height. Now, how it's distinct from the others is that those building blocks tend to be interlinked and overlapping in the sense that, for example, having a good conversation can fulfill your relationships. It can give you a sense of meaning. It can also provide engagement. You get positive emotions. Like, one thing can apply to all 5 building blocks. But here in accomplishment, you can actually get gratification from accomplishment without any other benefits from the other factors. So let me give you an example. Let's say you work in a high pressure corporate environment, or like, you know, maybe banking, finance, something like that, where, for example, you get up very early, you're in the office all day long, sometimes you work on the weekends, right? So what you're actually doing is sabotaging the positive emotions you get from pleasure. Remember, that was satisfying physical needs. So you're not sleeping enough. Maybe you're not eating enough because you're always on the go. So all those things are being detracted from. Your relationships are suffering because you don't have the time to cultivate them. You don't have time to talk to your friends, so on and so forth. You're not engaged in anything really because you're not pursuing things that will give you that sense of being in the zone. And you can't really say that, you know, finance gives you a sense of meaning either, right? But you do all this, and maybe you do get that big promotion, and now you have the huge corner office and they pay you $1 million a year. So yes, you can actually get gratification from that, but the danger is to not realize that your well-being is actually being damaged because you have this one huge source of gratification, but everything else is not. So you'll find that, and it happens a lot, people are on paper successful, you have everything you want, you have everything you've ever needed, but you're deeply unhappy or depressed or stressed out. And that's when you, I guess, overemphasize the achievement factor at the detriment of all the other factors.
That makes sense.
So that's it in brief. And just to go over, what benefits do you derive from a sense of well-being? Obviously, you're happy, you know, but also you live longer.
You're healthier,
exactly. Your immune system is actually better. You sleep, you have fewer sleep problems, and so on and so forth. So for all of us, you know, usually we always say that, you know, my mental health is important. But some people do not know how to approach assessing their mental health in the first place. Like, okay, what's missing? What do I need to do? And so on and so forth. So these are 5 factors you can look at. You can literally assess yourself. Which of these things do I need to work on? And maybe you can get yourself in a place where your well-being is much better than it is now.
Oh, I love it.
All right.
It's really, really helpful to so many people probably as well. Oh, brilliant. I love it.
Okay.
All right. Then we'll see you next week.
Yes. And so yeah, take care. Sorry, I'm losing my train. All right. See you next week. Bye.